President Biden needs to start me up. He's desperately seeking a major reset after making the Republicans look great again. Support for the GOP is booming to levels not seen since 1995, 26 years. Gallup showing a dramatic political shift after just 1 year of President Biden. 47% of Americans now calling themselves Republicans, while only 42% claim to be Democrats. 47-42. The White House frantically looking to right their ship after seeing these disastrous numbers, plotting a new communications strategy for the president, one that connects to all Americans, they say. And don't you dare blame the president for his failures. Watch guests on CNN looking to shift the blame.
He got infrastructure passed, and that's a good thing because success can breed success. He is putting the full force of the presidency behind it. I think the problem for the Democrats right now is not that they have bad leaders. They have bad followers.
Bad followers? You kidding me? We thought the pandemic was over. That's what it's about, isn't it? Isn't this disastrous approval, Greg, all mostly about COVID? The failure to stop COVID?
I think so, because, I mean, right now the Democrats can only drive in two gears, symbolic rhetoric and race shaming. So their muscles have atrophied, and they can't really battle to fight the supply chain problems or the border or crime or inflation or COVID, because they're just better at virtue signaling and getting great responses from Twitter. The most amazing truth about this, if you want to be more popular in America, be the party out of power. Remember, the party in power, the Democrats, used to be out of power, and they could strut and they could pontificate and they could rage, but now they're in power and they have to work. And now we're seeing that they're absolutely hopeless. But what if the Republicans get more done now because the Democrats are failing? A 14-point surge is pretty amazing. You're going to get more congressional seats, more Senate seats, maybe more governors, and you see these progressive policies being exposed. So I think you should enjoy being out of power, because those in power fail and you benefit. And the dynamic goes both ways. It'll happen to the Republicans. Beauty of the system.
President Biden he's clearly failing on COVID and the other items that Greg mentioned there, Kennedy. But he seems easily distracted. He seems disconnected. He jumps from Build Back Better to voting rights to who knows what's next. You know, who's to blame? Is it him? Is it staff? The White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, Rasputin, should he be fired? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you should fire them all. And the only good thing about this is, for those of us who saw this coming and have seen socialism take root and destroy other countries from North Korea to Venezuela, I'm just happy to see that American voters are snapping to their senses faster. That's the good news, because they're not going to stand up for a lot of it. Geraldo, it's not just COVID, because they have been lied to on pretty much every level. It's also inflation and not being able to afford things and having to make sacrifices, deciding where you're going to spend what little money you have, because inflation, as you know, is outpacing wage growth. And they can't fall back on, well, you know, wages are rising. Well, they're not necessarily when gas and meat cost twice what they did a year ago. This administration has to stop lying about things. They have to stop blaming everyone else for these problems, which is what Paul Begala just did. And they have to stop propagandizing, which is what Jen Psaki does every single day. Be honest with people. Let them know you're in a crisis. Let them know it's difficult. Tell them what you're going to do, and then go ahead and do it. And stop blaming the guy who's getting shorted for the problems that you've created.
And yet, Jesse, Paul Begala did exactly what Kennedy just said. It's not bad leaders, it's bad followers. They're trying to shift responsibility given the catastrophe of these poll numbers, eh?
Guys like Begala, they get lucky, they latch on to a talented politician, he takes them all the way to the top, and then everybody thinks Begala is some wizard, and they pay him a bunch of consulting fees for the rest of his stupid life. But if you listen to what he says when he opens his mouth, it doesn't make any sense. This guy's not responsible for any politician's success. He just got lucky. Just was on the right place at the right time. Everybody knows what that's about, Geraldo. The country is tired of struggling. We have sacrificed a lot, and it's been a very turbulent last couple years. At this point, we want schools open. We want to go into a subway without getting pushed to our death. We don't want to be stranded in the airport for 17 hours because of a COVID mandate. We don't want to fill up the gas tank and have it cost $20 more than it did last year. Those are just simple things that the country wants. We don't want to be inconvenienced anymore. We just want a smooth life. and we want to earn a nice living. And Joe Biden has somehow taken his eye off that ball and is banging his head against the wall talking about election reform or electric cars or things the country's not even thinking about. And we're over here saying, Joe, over here, pay attention to us. This is what we care about. And he doesn't look. And that's why the country's so angry right now. It's like the guy's he's just not paying attention.
And Emily, what they're doing is demonizing Senators Manchin and Sinema. You think that's going to bring those two Democratic senators into line to vote with their party?
Well, one of the hallmarks of the Democratic Party is that they blame absolutely everyone else but themselves. Whoever has the microphone is blaming someone else. And the whole bad followers versus bad leaders is an example. And another example is blaming Sinema and Manchin. But it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, this administration blames you. We're blamed. Regular, average Americans, right? The real terrorist in the neighborhood is the one that flies the American flag, right? The real proponents behind this horrible pandemic are the unvaccinated. Whatever it is, it's not them, it's us. And I think the numbers that Biden should pay attention to coming out of those reports are these two. Number one, that the smallest, slimmest minority in this country are the actual liberals. And yet we see he continues to capitulate to them. Yeah. He continues to think that those are the voices that his policy needs to reflect. And the second data point is that 57% of independents disapprove of his leadership and of his administration. And it is those votes that he needs to be culling right now. And those are the moderates. Those are the ones in the middle, the reasonable, normal people. And final point, I just find it ironic that in his reset plan, it's going to be about engaging more, quote, communicating directly with Americans. But as of this point, we have not identified how to do that yet. How about just being honest, bro? Just pick up a microphone and be normal for once. I won't hold my breath.
Well, that'll be a fun press conference tomorrow.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.